Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome to today's live stream. It's Cody, your Caped Crusader, and we're here with our good friend, Michael Nunneley of Omen Comics, founder and CEO, also co-founder of Revelation Comics, and we're here to talk about his brand new Kickstarter campaign. Michael, welcome on the show. How are you doing? Give us a little bit of a breakdown about who you are and about your Kickstarter.
All right. As you said, my name is Michael Nunneley. I am the creator and writer of this new Viking horror comic called Seder. I have been, just a little background on me. I wrote my very first comic when I was 12 years old.
What was it called?
It was called The Warrior.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was just like I folded some typewriter paper in half, and it was a lot closer to an illustrated book than it was say a comic book, but it did evolve into that then, and I'm actually using some of those characters from back then even now in Omen Comics.
Yeah, that is so awesome to see that at a young age you had something like that, and now you're coming out with an actual like Norse warrior type of comic.
Yeah.
What's gone into that journey? You know, starting out as an indie comic creator, you know, what went into creating Omen Comics? You know, where did you get your start at?
Okay, well, this is one of those kind of making lemonade out of lemons kind of stories.
Hey, I love those.
I had been working on various characters and kind of building a comic universe for quite a while. Like I said, since I was 12, I've been working on some of this stuff, and I got hired by a company. I think I'm not even sure they exist anymore. And I use the word company lightly. They wanted me to basically build them a comic universe based off of a single title called Omen. And so I had a bunch of characters. I had a whole universe already set up, so it was easy for me to just jump in and do that. And I wrote them several issues, and the whole idea was they were going to run this Kickstarter, and then we were all going to get paid then, and then that didn't seem to happen, and he kept falling apart with the artists, and I kept asking him, I mean, do you want me to keep writing, because I'm going to need to be paid at some point.
How many issues did you write without being paid?
Three. Yeah.
Which I mean, how many pages?
I average right around 32 pages per.
So that's a lot. That's a lot of work to not get paid for. So what else? What happened after that?
Well, he ended up totally stiffing me on the whole thing, and so what I did was I said, look, I did all this work. I'm walking with the rights to the characters that I did and the stories that I wrote, and I'll catch you later. And
you're like, you know what? And I'm taking the name.
Yeah. I actually named Omen Comics to spite him using the character.
So I actually have a similar story.
Oh, yeah?
I was on a podcast with a good friend of mine called Talk Geekly. It ran for about 2 years. We mostly covered DC, Marvel Comics, and then we did news. You'll notice that same exact formula in Keeping It Geekly, where I cover 3 topics of news a week, and then I cover 3 DC comics. Now, what happened was we broke apart, then we were able to mend that. We came back, and it was something where he was an artist. He was very, very gifted, very awesome artist. And he, you know, I just let him know off the rip, like, hey man, I'm not talented. I'm not able to draw. I can edit stuff, but I'm learning editing too. Like this was about a year ago. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And he's like, just do what you can. And eventually, you know, bad blood started boiling up. He started feeling he was doing much more of the workload than I was able to do. And at that time, I'm like, what did you expect, you know? So we broke apart. He took the Talk Geekly name, took our Facebook page, everything, booted me from the get-go. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I got something for him. And as soon as I got a new microphone, because audio was one of my weakest points. So I was that vengeful ex-girlfriend. I got the brand new microphone I was waiting for. And then I started up a new show. I was like, you know what I'm going to call it? I was like, every time we ended a Talk Geekly show, his catchphrase, he's like, well, guys, keep it geekly. I'm like, you know what? I got an idea for naming the name of my new show. And,
nice.
You know, I I hope him the best. You know, obviously at the time there was a lot of bad blood, but now it's been some time, and you know, hopefully things are going good. I know as far as the Talk Geekly brand, I was offered the name back as long as I stop using Keeping It Geekly, but the spite is what drove me, so I'm like, no. So
I totally feel you there. I would have done the same thing.
when I heard your story, I was like, man, I like this guy. So let's talk about the start. Let's talk about when you moved on to create Omen Comics. Let's talk about that beginning. What went into that? You said you had a pretty healthy roster as well. You know, a couple people on board with you. So let's go ahead and break that down.
All right. Well, essentially, I took the stuff that I had done for this other company, and I reworked it into a universe that I wanted to do, and that was a blend of like both mythology and horror with supernatural stuff and superheroes. I wanted some apocalyptic themes in there. This is a dark universe with broken people.
Mm-hmm.
And
let's go.
So that was kind of what my idea for Omen Comics. And so I took the characters I already had and I reworked them to fit into this universe. And then it was a matter of getting the people together to do it. With one of them in particular, the two characters, White Druid and Michael Nero from the Omen Comics title. I tried writing that over and over again. And I just couldn't get the voice that I wanted for the character. I kept trying to do him as this drug-addled half insane kind of guy, because most of my characters kind of have issues. But I just couldn't get quite the right voice. And I used to run this comic book magazine called Chico Comics Page. And Steve Sellers was actually one of my reviewers from there, and I hit him up. I said, "Hey, so I got this title I'm having an issue with. Do you want to come on and write it?" And he did.
Okay.
So that's how I got Steve. I went through a few different artists, a couple of which I don't know if you know this. I went through the Fire in Paradise in 2018. I don't know if you've heard about that.
I haven't. There. I'll be honest with you. What is it?
Well, basically an entire town burned down.
What?
Yeah.
Like legitly, like on accident or something?
Well, it was based on PG&E had some faulty equipment.
Okay.
Fire got started. It just went out of control. Terrible winds, all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, dude.
Anyway, so I had told the people that I was working with at the time, "Hey, I'm homeless at the moment. I'm living in a shelter, but I still want to do this. We'll keep things going." And this one artist that I was working with at the time decided, "Oh, well, he's homeless. That means I don't have to do the work he paid me for," and just didn't do anything.
Oh, yeah, that's dirty. I mean, especially if you've already paid him for it.
Right.
Right. So what did you do in that situation? Were you able to get like any sort of solution out of it?
Well, I was able to find somebody else. Also through Chico Comics Page, I used to do interviews with creators and writers and stuff. And I interviewed this guy from Nigeria named Tosin Awasiga about his art. And I approached him. I said, "Hey, this is my budget range. This is what I could do." And when I first started out, we're talking I could afford a page a month. Okay, so I mean, this was a pretty small budget, but
yeah,
he was able to work with me and everything, and then I found Guido Martinez, a guy out of Argentina, does great lettering. After doing a couple of books, I decided I really needed an editor, so I found on through Facebook and Twitter, I believe. I found Russ Pirozek, our editor, and that's the team we've kept since we got started.
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome and humble beginning as well. A lot of trial and tribulation there. What type of what issues do you guys have to work with everyone being from around the world? Like, do you run into a lot of issues trying to translate like what you want
there is a little bit of that, but it's not too bad. Everybody on the team speaks English, so that helps. Like for instance, Tosin, being from Nigeria, is more accustomed to speaking Nigerian pidgin.
Yeah.
And so there's some words, like for instance, if I have to kind of watch, I guess, how I'm phrasing things. I want to try to keep it plain and simple. I don't want to do this big elaborate thing to try and because I can do that describing a panel sometimes.
Yeah. And I'm sure the idea you're trying to portray, like, it is a grandiose, scene. It is like a in-depth scene, so that has to be, a little bit more difficult to try to simplify that.
Right. But it's not just that. Like I said, Tosin does speak good English. I need to be able to have the script be totally understandable for everybody. When it goes to Tosin to get drawn, when it goes to Guido to get lettered, everybody needs to be able to understand what's going on, because we can't just pick up the phone and call each other. You know what I mean? We basically only have social media to interact.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of preparation that has to go into actually writing a script.
So what all, like the 3 issues that you previously worked on, did you end up doing anything else with that, or have those kind of fallen to the wayside while you work on your new comic?
No. I pretty much I took the basic concept I did for his. I gotta tell you a little bit about this, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. When this guy originally came up with his idea for his Omen character, it was basically Spawn with a different name. I mean, some of his ideas for his story concepts were, and I was reading Spawn at the time, so I totally recognized it right away.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, I'm not going to write this. This is ridiculous. And so, I totally had to change some things, but I basically abandoned almost everything I did there, except for the name and the basic concept of the character. I kept the idea of a war between heaven and hell, but that's not necessarily Spawn thing. That's been going on for a while. But I liked the idea of a hero seeking redemption. Yeah. Right. So what I did was I made the character Frank Wade as broken and as far off the deep end as you could possibly go. This guy has crossed lines you just cannot come back from. He died. He was, of course, on his way to hell, but he was he happened to commit the ultimate sacrifice by giving up his life to save his unit, and for that, he is given the opportunity to wear the Omen armor.
That kind of gives me some Constantine vibes, in a sense. How Constantine was like right on the verge of going to hell, and the devil wanted him really bad, but he kept doing enough good to stay away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's based on that scripture where Jesus said, "Greater love hath no man than to lay his life down for his friends."
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. So how did all of this lead into your current day project? Let's go ahead and start breaking that down.
All right.
It seems pretty wicked. The horror aspect, the Norse mythology, the magical aspect, the brutal warfare. What went into this? What type of research did you have to do? I'm sure there was a lot of work that went into just laying the blueprints down for it.
Oh, there is. I'm kind of a big history buff, so I knew the general story. I'm getting ahead of myself. Hold on. In 793 AD, the Vikings the Vikings came to Lindisfarne, and they just destroyed and looted a monastery there, killed a whole bunch of priests, and it was this big, horrible shock to the entire European world, because this is one of the most holy places there was, and nobody just goes and destroys a church, right? So I said, well, what if that situation had a totally different fantastical reason for happening, and it had nothing to do with their how they're perceiving the Vikings there. That some totally other thing was happening. So I applied some Norse mythology. Of course, being a huge horror fan, I had to dump all kinds of horror in there. And when I'm talking horror, I really like gore. I like some slasher stuff. So there's a little bit of that stuff going on in there. But the generally, to answer your question, I just wanted to put a new twist on that event.
Okay.
I wanted, and that's what kind of started the journey that evolved into Seder. But yeah, Revelation Comics, I don't know if I mentioned this before, was intended for us to do stories that are outside the Omen verse. These have no connection there. These are all standalone stories.
So everything in Omen Comics is in the same universe altogether.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. What sort of troubles do you have with that, though, in terms of like world building? Is there any issues for running into like continuity errors or like, you know, having to back it up a little bit so you don't like offset another story?
No. I came to this with an enormous story. Right now we have the outline for about 70 comics.
That's impressive.
We got a story. It's really just a matter. The outline is so detailed that it's really just a matter of outlining the individual issues.
Yeah.
Right. So me and Steve talk all the time. We're both in the United States, so it's a little easier that way. But we're the main writers for the Omen verse. And we just kind of keep in contact. If we got a new idea, we see if we can work it in there or whatever. But like I said, the map's already pretty much laid.
No, that's awesome. So let's go ahead. Are you able to pull up your screen? We can start breaking down your Kickstarter campaign.
We did this pretty basic. But we added on a little thing at a time. One thing, I guess, if you go down, see there at the $5 tier, right there at the top, it says you will be credited as a producer in the credits of Seder #1. And we're doing that everybody who backs this. And this is even at the $5 level. Even if you're only getting a digital comic, you're still getting a producer credit in the comic.
That's really cool. And that's pretty cheap for that tier. It's usually when I see that tier, it's a much higher price. So, I mean, what prompted you to want to put it so cheap, just to kind of give everyone that opportunity to have their name appear?
No. I guess we normally sell digital copies for $3.
No, I meant the credit for being like a producer of the comic.
Oh
yeah, my apologies on that. Like PDFs usually, that's usually about the price I see. I meant to get your name actually in the book. That for that type of thing, I usually see that higher up in the tier.
Oh well, I kind of look at it, I guess, like watching like a movie. A producer in a movie is somebody who gives you money to do the project. And I figure even if you're only given $5, you're giving me money to do the project.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah. So that's that one. And also, I'd like to mention that you see this cover right here, the one right here on the top with the undead coming to life and the vulva up here on the top, right? That's the variant cover. And all of the digital copies that are going out are going to have this variant cover.
Oh, that's awesome. So
even the digital copy you get is going to be exclusive.
So is the Viking with the blonde hair, is that like one of the main characters for the regular cover?
No. You look here and these guy here. That's
yeah.
Yeah, no. This guy on the top here is King Bjorn. This is his son Eric. King Ingvar. This is his son Eric. This is his best friend Bjorn, and this is his brother Lars.
Okay. So are they all kind of like the main characters, or do you have like someone who serves as just the main protagonist?
The main character in the story is King Ingvar.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. I'd also like to mention, just before we go on, so everybody is aware, we have a digital guarantee on this that says that if you back this, even if this campaign is unsuccessful, which I think it will be, but even if it isn't, you still get a digital copy. We're gonna set that up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's that what we're hoping is that it will build a rapport between us and people and our fans, that maybe they'll feel more confident back in our other projects as well.
Yeah, especially if it doesn't go through, you're still giving the product. I think that is a big move, because you don't have to. It says right in the Kickstarter, not everything's guaranteed to be funded. So that's something that's a step ahead that you're doing to make sure your community's taken care of. That's awesome.
Right. And in that direction, all of the pages are already drawn, all of the pages are already lettered, and they're all already at our graphic designer's office getting resized for the PDF. Basically, the only thing stopping us from creating this PDF is we got to get all the producers' names gathered, and that can't happen until the end.
Yeah. No, that's still really cool though. So let's say for whatever reason this campaign isn't successful, would you do another campaign for it to get it off the ground again?
No, probably not.
I got you. So basically, if the campaign doesn't go through, do the producers that did try to back it the first time, are they still going to be in the book, or are you going to have to figure that out as well?
No. To be a producer, you actually have to give money.
Okay. So that if it doesn't go through, the money gets refunded back.
Right. Well,
okay, I got you.
Kickstarter doesn't even collect the money until the campaign is over. And
see, I've never knew that part about the Kickstarters. I've talked about Kickstarter so much without actually learning about the process.
Okay, yeah. If the whole thing is funded, they collect it right at the end, and once I get everybody's names in at that point, then everybody has officially become a producer. Then I'm going to put their names in. But if it's just unsuccessful, just the digital copies aren't going to have their names in it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for clearing that up for me, man.
Hey, no problem. This next one up is the $15 tier, and this is actually our most popular one. This one you get the digital copy with the variant cover, and of course a printed copy with the variant cover. But we also you also get that producer credit, of course. But you also, this is where we start throwing in the sticker. We got a giant 3x5 waterproof Seder sticker
that's awesome.
Get. Let's see if I
so you get a physical book, you get a sticker, and then the digital as well.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Here's the sticker right there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. All right, and this is the T-shirt that we're offering. That's the standard cover art. Yeah.
So how did you come up with the name for the comic? What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, it's a Viking story, so I wanted to use Norse words. So rather than use a witch specifically or a shaman specifically, I wanted to use the Norse version, which is a vulva. And when vulvas use a specific type of magic, the Norse word for magic is Seder.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And when I was starting the preparations for this interview, I was Googling everything. And at first I thought it was like Seidr, like, you know what I mean? Or like Seidr. I was like, how do I say this? And then it's Seidr. I was like, oh my God, I was like horribly wrong on that.
Yeah. When you start using words in other languages, it can get a little confusing.
So yeah, let's take a moment to look at that artwork too. Yeah, this is graphic and gory. I really like the detail, like how brutal the war looks, like the battle between them. This is intense.
Check out this narration here. I really like this. Deathly wounded, I fought side by side with my brother, son, and best friend. We fought a battle worthy of Valhalla, but it was not enough. They say our fates are sealed. We can run, we can hide, but we will not live 1 second longer than the gods have determined. That day I was certain our fate had come, but while I longed for the halls of Valhalla, my warrior's heart would not give in to it.
Yeah, no, that's pretty deep. And for a Viking to get into Valhalla, they have to die with honor. You know, they have to die on the battlefield, right?
Right.
So
They have to have a worthy death. Is the idea, yeah. And one of the reasons is those that are in Valhalla, it's not all drinking and partying and talking. There's a lot of fighting going on. So here we go. This is oh wait, did I put it in there? No, okay. Yeah, I like all these with the sound effects in there.
And you see the king right in the middle of it too. That's the king right there, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you see him right in the middle, not like your typical king kind of staying away and out of the battle. He's right in the thick of it. Right.
And you'll notice that's Bjorn right there next to him, and his brother Lars right there, and Eric's behind him. They're kind of back to back, all fighting off these guys.
So yeah, I really enjoy the attention to weapons, the clothing, the armor. It all is awesome. Did you guys have to research anything in particular? What sort of inspiration did you draw for the clothing and the weaponry?
A lot of that was done by my artist, Tosanao Sika. I showed a couple of pictures to give examples of the type of swords that they used and stuff like that, but a lot of that research was done by him.
Yeah, that's awesome. The swords are all bloodied up, shields battered.
Yeah.
So is she on their side or against them?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that.
No, hey, I'll back it up.
No. The tagline for the whole campaign, I can tell you this much, is "Hell hath no fury like a vulva scorned."
Oh yeah, that already tells me what I need to know.
Right.
Things are not looking good for him.
No, and this right here, you notice all these guys that are coming up here are dead.
Oh, so she's rising them from the dead. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a little undead action going on in here.
I couldn't even imagine having to kill your opponent and then having to kill them again. Back to back.
Right. It actually gets a little bit worse because
some of those are friends as well.
Well, the people that they're fighting have to not only fight their enemy, but their own fallen brothers are now risen from the dead and fighting against them.
Yeah, that would be rough.
Yeah.
So, what drove you to want to do horror and a grimdark fantasy book as opposed to, I guess, a traditional Viking story? Was it just something that you've always have wanted to do, or is there any other reasoning behind it?
Well, there's I've been writing horror. Granted, I guess not writing horror. I've been writing down horror. How's that? Since I was 10 years old. Check this out. I watched one of the first movies I remember watching was A Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984. Okay. We watched a lot of horror in my house. And
I remember one of the first times for me, Child's Play. That was my first horror movie when I was a kid.
Right. That was 87, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So check out the story. I really freaked out my teacher once. We had this kind of journal time that we were supposed to do in class, and I guess most of the kids were writing what they did for the week, or when a relative visited, or something like that. Right?
You're all right, hold on.
I had just recently watched A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, and I have a really good memory. I was able to write down basically a script for A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 from memory, and that's what I was writing in my journal time. So
your teacher was probably okay, I need to call the parents.
That's exactly what happened. She freaked right the hell out. She called my parents and she's like, "Your son is disturbed. I'm worried about him being around the other kids." And
They're like, "No, that's normal. Typical Monday."
But no, horror is just something that comes out of me when I write, and I really wanted to. There are horror elements like in my Omen books. But they're not just straight up horror, and I've always wanted to do one of those. And with Omen Comics, I'm Irish, so there's a lot of like Celtic mythology influence into the world I built there. And I'm also Swedish, so I wanted to do something with my Viking heritage in there too.
Okay.
And so that kind of inspired the Viking thing. Honestly, if you mix it really wasn't that hard to mix horror with a Viking story. They fit together rather nicely.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So let's go ahead and break down some more tiers. What else you got for us?
All right, we have at this $25 tier. You get digital printed comics plus artwork. Now you can see we have these different covers and stuff, right? We're sending those out in big old, I believe they're 12 by 18 posters of just the artwork. It doesn't have the logos on it or anything like that. It's just the art. But those are going out with the comics as well. And again, you're getting the producer credit, the digital copy, the exclusive variant cover, and you also get the waterproof sticker there.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Right. So then, now this one, the $35 tier here, we actually did this in hopes of attracting comic book shops. Now, we offered I'll just read this. It says it better than I could explain it. I already so Seder #1 has a cover price of $9.99 for an individual copy, because printing costs and paper costs and labor costs have all gone up in price significantly. As an indie comics creative team, we don't have a whole lot of wiggle room in our prices because of this overhead. However, if you are a comic book shop and you'd like to sell Seder #1, you can buy 5 copies of the standard cover edition of Seder #1 for 30% off. That's $6.99 each.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Right? The shipping is only $6, which means you can make $9 plus tax from the sale of the 5 books. That's about $1.80 per book.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, the comic book shop itself will be listed as a producer in the credits of Seder #1.
Hey, real quick, we got a question from chat. How long have you been working on Seder for? I think they missed when we were talking about that earlier.
Oh.
But if you had to put it, I guess, in a broad, length of time.
It took me about a year to write the whole story. I already have the 3 issues that's going to be written out.
Okay, so about a year altogether?
Yeah, about a year to get the whole story down.
And that's is that for the first issue or for the whole 70?
That was to get... Oh, no. The 70 comic thing, that's for Omen Comics.
Okay, as a whole. Okay. So Seder is just its own property within that universe.
No. Seder is a Revelation comic.
A Revelation, really?
Yes, check out the logo here at the top.
I can't believe I even missed that. I've been thinking that this was part of the Omen Comics right off the rip, because we talked about Omen so long.
Oh, right.
So this is something completely out of the Omen Comics then.
Yes,
now,
and it's just a mini series. This one's only going to be 3 issues long.
So 3 issues, okay. So this is with your friend then. Was Steve also the other founder of Revelation?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Funded. And it actually started because he had a story of his own about an impulsive speedster named Blitz. And I guess he was doing it in prose before. And I was like, hey, what do you think about doing that as a comic? And so me and him came up with the name Revelation Comics. And that's what kind of started it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I got you. I don't know why I thought Seder was a part of the Omen comic. But yeah, so with it being off the Omen comic, you said you're only going to have 3 issues planned for it?
Yeah. And then of course, those are going to be collected in a trade.
Yeah. So what is next then? I guess after the 3 issues, what do you have planned?
As far as Seder goes, that's it.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
There isn't. This is it's kind of a short story, I guess. But no, there's lots of stuff coming from Revelation Comics. We got a comic called SAD coming out, which is an acronym for Sad and Desperate,
Okay.
which was actually written by our artist Tosin Awasika, the guy you see in the credits right here. He's the guy who does all the art.
So he's
for
a writer
Omen.
as well.
Yes.
That's awesome, dude.
He writes the comic. He did. We have a comic currently available on Revelation Comics called Insurrection Fox Operations, and he wrote the story, and then I script the comic.
So with SAD, do you think there's gonna be? Is it like have you had a chance to really check it out yet? Like in terms of
writing? Yeah, I've already scripted
so
3 issues.
So I guess with him being from Nigeria, like is it like the culture within the comics? Is it a lot different from what you're used to?
Oh, it's totally different, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a Nigerian story written by a guy who actually lives there, and it really gives it this feeling of authenticity.
Sad and desperate too. I can only imagine what type of like turmoil the main character probably has to go through.
Oh, that story's all about, has all kinds of conspiracy and Nigerian mythology, and
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's there's even a little horror in it.
Man, you love you some horror, huh?
I do. I'm a big horror fan.
So, is there any other tiers though?
There's a lot more. There's a lot more.
I was gonna say we were cutting the shit a little bit. I gotta bring it back on track.
Right. Sorry. All right. So the next one is the silver level backer. Now that one's $48, but you start getting lots of stuff in this one. Of course, you get the regular producer credit, you get the digital copy, you get the exclusive variant cover, the sticker, you get the posters, right? But you also, this is where you see, you get the printed standard cover vision. This is the way you get this particular copy right here, the one with this cover, right? But you also get a copy of the Viking horror script for Seder #1, and then we start throwing in some extras from Revelation Comics, like the digital copy of Blitz #1 and a digital copy of Insurrection Fox Operations book #1. And this one, I don't know anybody else that's doing this.
Real quick though, you said this is the main cover, right?
This one right here is the main cover, and then this one up here is the variant cover.
So what made you want to do the variant cover so cheap compared to the actual main cover?
It's not that. It's simply it's adding. I'm adding stuff to the levels here.
Oh no. What I meant was you said that was the only way to get the main cover though, right? Was to go to that tier.
Right. Everybody that backs this campaign is unless they get a specific tier that has the standard cover edition in it, like this one here. Then that's the only way to get both covers.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. I wasn't trying to word that weird. Sorry about that.
No. But check this out. You familiar with globalcomics.com?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, if you choose this $48 tier, the silver level backer, you get 1 year unlimited access to all of Revelation Comics on globalcomics.com.
Okay, all right, that's cool.
That means Seder's going to be on there. That means Sad's going to be on there. That means Blitz #2 is going to be on there. We got stuff coming. So you're talking about getting unlimited access to these comics on Global Comic. Granted, it's online reading. You're not getting to buy the PDF, but still, I don't know anybody else giving away that kind of access.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. What went into that? Like, did you have to pull some strings to be able to give away your subscription?
No. I what I'm going to do is email out a little code that they just type in, and that code gives them the access.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha. No, that is pretty cool though, because who's to say that a lot more comes out as well? Besides the ones you just listed, there could be other issues too.
Right, and that the amount of time goes up with each tier after this. This first one here, the silver level backer, is 1 year, right? Mm-hmm. But then you move on up here to the gold level backer, and it becomes 2 years. Also, with this one, you start getting more art with this one. You don't just get the digital copy of Blitz and the digital copy of Insurrection Fox Operations 2. You also get a printed copy of Blitz and a cover art poster, and a
Okay.
printed copy of Insurrection Fox Operations and a cover art poster for that.
No, so that's you essentially get 3 posters and then 3 physicals as well.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a pretty outstanding deal, as well as the years of free digital reading too.
Right. Basically, with this tier, you're starting to get everything that Revelation Comics has to offer right now. So at the Revelationist backer, Revelationists are what we call Revelation Comics fans. So at this level, we threw everything and the kitchen sink at this thing. With this one, not only do you get you get all the same stuff you got before, right? But we start throwing in the Revelation Comics T-shirt. And then we also throw in the Omen Comics digital trade. It's 136 pages called Omenverse Volume 1, Seeds of Tetrad Omega. And that contains our first 4 comics in it. Omen number 1,
Okay.
Gallowsman number 1, White Druid and Michael Nero number 1, and then Omen number 2.
Are those the 3 stories that you wrote and then took with you?
No, Omen was the one I wrote and took with me.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, and then you also get this is where you start getting the whole Omen Comics digital lineup too, because we also throw in a digital copy of Gallowsman number 2, White Druid and Michael Nero number 2, and our most recent comic just came out a few months back, Guardians of Aleum, and a big 3 years unlimited access to Revelation Comics on Global Comics.
So how much does a normal subscription cost to that, just outside of this?
I want to say it's like $50 a year or something like that.
So I mean, right there, you're getting your value right there, and that's not even including the rest of it.
Right, but you're not. It's not a subscription service for me specifically. You subscribe to Global Comics, and then you get access. You get tokens or something that'll allow you to read the pages. Like right now, if you go to Revelation Comics on Global Comics, you're able to read the first 10 pages of the book, but you got to pay to read the rest of it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
What this code does is it unlocks all of Revelation Comics for you. It doesn't unlock. Yeah, it's not all of Global Comics.
Well, I was just mainly saying that in order outside of this, in order to read your comics off of that, you'd have to spend $150 for 3 years. But doing this, you're essentially saving yourself that cost because you're just able to get it for free by backing it.
Right. Well, you're at least able to read it for free. You don't actually get to own any of the comics that are going on there that way.
And for me as a casual reader, if I own a comic, I own it, but I mean, just read it. I don't know how many times I'm going to read through a PDF, a handful of times, but outside of that, I could always just go back, especially if you got 3 years.
Yeah, and lots of stuff coming out in that 3 years too. But that is the basics of the tiers here. Let's see. We've talked about a synopsis of the story there. We've looked at the art here. Why don't we talk a little bit about what I'm doing with the money?
Yeah.
Okay, now a major chunk of the money, most of it, $1,330, is going straight to paying our artist Tosin Awasika, who, like I said, is already finished with the comic. Another $120 goes to our letterer Guido Martinez. The rest of the money covers printing costs, $250, and I added another 2.5% of the gross that goes to Wicked Publishing because they're handling all the fulfillment for the campaign. And last but not least, 8% of the gross was added on for what Kickstarter is taking.
So Kickstarter takes 8% of the complete campaign?
Yes.
Wow, that can amount to a pretty penny.
Yeah, I had originally had this at a lower amount, and then I was all, oh, well, crap. I had to add on 8% of all of that.
But you know,
to cover
8%. I mean, if you weren't using Kickstarter, what would you have used?
Well, I think I want to say Indiegogo only charges like 5%. My main goal with this campaign is this is going to be my 10th comic I have put out, and I just want to put out one comic without having to go into debt to do it.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any shame in doing that. I think there's no shame in asking for money from the community to produce this. Especially with it being your 10th book, you have an established line. You like, I want to say a lot of people say you want at least 3 established titles before you do a Kickstarter.
Right.
So you already have established books. You have a blueprint for 70 issues, through the Omen universe. Like that's insane, you know. So, and plus you have 3 planned out for this. So I don't think it's an issue to want to ask that and to avoid putting yourself through that.
You know what I'd like to find on here? Oh. You might have. Let's play this video.
Yeah.
There's Miss H on Twitter made this little animated GIF. I want you guys to see but check this out.
Happened with it, indeed. We want.
Hello, my name is Michael Nunneley. I am the creator and writer on Seder. Well, you don't need to hear all that. We've already discussed that, but I really like that GIF on there.
Yeah.
Little undead coming back to life there. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I'm always, graphic artists always amaze me. I can never do that. I mean, I've tried to draw and like people said, you know, it's okay, but I just don't believe in myself enough to follow through with it.
Right. It's not as easy as it looks.
No, not at all. So, anything else in terms of tiers?
No, in terms of tiers, that's about it.
So we can go ahead if you want. We can just go back to our two camera.
Okay.
And once again, like I said, I'll edit the transition so they're a lot smoother.
All right.
So, with how many days are left in your campaign?
14.
So with 14 days left, what would you say to anyone that's on the fence, like anyone who's like been watching or anyone that's kind of been backing the campaign without following the campaign without backing it? What would you say to them to push them over the edge to wanna back it? What's gonna be your take on getting them to actually just follow through to back this comic and to get it in their hands?
Well, I guess one thing I'm personally really excited about this. Like I said, I've put out 10 comics, right? But I've written 14 comics. I've scripted 4 comics. On top of that, Seder #1 is my best work in my opinion. This story, I'm really proud of this one. I feel like
awesome.
I feel like I really finally, I just got into a groove with this one. I'm convinced that you're gonna love this. I mean, it's got like the magic in it. It's got Norse mythology, brutal warfare, right? But it's also got some tragedy in it. There's some brutal, gory warfare as we talked about, right? There's a nice supernatural element to it. This has got a little bit of everything in it. I mean, this is Viking war and horror mixed together with a witch.
Hey, I'm sold. I definitely want to get my hands on it. So we've come to my favorite part of the podcast. We broke down every bit that we could. And I always love asking this question the most. So for anyone out there who's creating their own indie comic and they're struggling to get off the ground, they're struggling to kind of just get their idea pushed through, what advice would you give them to help push them through, to help them, see their comic to the end?
I was actually just thinking about this earlier. I have come up with, since forming Omen Comics back in 2018, I have come up with several just full-on what I thought were solid business plans as to how everybody was going to get paid and how we were going to produce everything and get everything out on time and all of that. And it has completely fallen apart like 4 times. I've run into a brick wall I could not see past. But check this out. I have learned that there really is no such thing as a dead end, just a place to turn. There's always another path, you know.
That's good.
You gotta adapt. You gotta learn. You gotta grow, right? A little tenacity and some research can take you very far. One thing I did that helped me out a lot was I reached out to a couple of indie comics creators that like worked at IDW and alternative comics and stuff, and I talked to them about well, what would you recommend and how would I do this, and some of them were even willing to like share scripts with me and stuff, and and it was just reach out there. My point is this: don't give up on it. There is always another way to go. Just because you can't see where to go from here doesn't mean that the road doesn't exist.
Yeah. And I think that's awesome. I often hear how inviting the indie community is, how hard everyone tries to work with one another to help each other. In most cases, and that really just sticks with me really awesomely, and that's a big part of what my show is intended for, is to give a lot of these people who don't have a voice or maybe necessarily the reach a little bit of help in extending that for them, no matter size of creator, or if you got a following, if you don't, I don't care. If you got a book, that's what I care about. I want to talk about that book. I want to read that book. I want to get inside your mind, see what makes you tick. And hopefully get you back on the show again to talk about other books in the future. Michael, I had an awesome time today. This was a phenomenal interview. I know I was really looking forward to this. I planned it purposely on 3/16 day because that's the bottom line, baby. So once again, Michael, I really appreciate you coming on the show and keeping it geekly with us. For everyone that watched the live stream, I appreciate it. And if you're watching this post-production, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for anytime we drop more interviews. We have a whole slate of them lined up in the months to come.